What's up? I'm here at the Mammoth Tuff Race. The 100 mile route course is about to start. So they're all lined up over there.
3, 2, 1, go!
Hold up. I gotta stop this right here. Do you see this guy on the recumbent bike? I don't know how anybody's doing this race on a recumbent bike. Props to that guy, because I don't even know how he would stay up balancing through some of that sand that we went through. Alright, so that was the start of the 100 mile race. Okay, so that group just left. I'm in the 70 miles, so I'm going to be coming up pretty soon.
Puffer, go on out there, have a great day on the bike. We'll be here when you get back. This is 70 miles.
So here we are getting started, and in case you missed the announcement, this course is 71 miles and 3,900 feet of elevation gain. When I signed up for this particular distance, the tougher instead of the toughest, which is the 71 mile versus I think 90 mile, the toughest route was, I saw the 3,900 feet of elevation gain and I was like, oh, that's no big deal. I do that all the time. I could handle that without any problem whatsoever. Okay, but what I did, and also same thing about the 70 miles. I thought 70 miles was no big deal. On gravel, it's of course going to be more difficult than like 70 miles on road, but I thought 70 miles on gravel, 3,900 feet of climbing, I could bust this out pretty good without feeling dead at the end of the day. That was my expectation actually. So what I did not take into account is the how thick the gravel was, how loose the sand was, and it really took a lot of energy expenditure to pedal through a lot of those sandy parts, and the resistance was there. So I'll give you an example. Every time I got to a road section, it felt so smooth. Like coming from the gravel to the road, it was just a relief. Like I had been working so hard in the gravel, and then to come onto the road for a section, even if it was an uphill climb on the road, it felt like I was taking a break almost because it was that hard. Now, you saw that just a moment ago we made a left-hand turn onto a smaller street, which is where we're at right now. So it's paved right here, and just up the road a little bit, it's going to turn into gravel, and then we're gonna be fighting it off in the dirt. So this is where the fun starts, and there we go, right there. Okay, and I was trying to make my way up to the front of the pack so that I could hopefully work into a big group drafting, but right off the start here, there were people that really hit it hard and that really went off the front, and you're gonna see here that the grade goes up a little bit. I'm at 4% right now, and it's gonna keep steady. We're gonna be flat for a little while, then it's gonna climb, and then when we get to the first climb, which doesn't look big, it looks pretty gradual, but that climb was difficult enough to have me up at 250, 300, even 350 watts for minutes at a time, and so it was very difficult at the start, and I felt like the field did get broken up quite a bit. So even if I was right on that first front group, I would not have stayed with them very long. At first we were going pretty fast. I mean, probably 18 to 22 miles per hour, somewhere right around there. And so the draft definitely would have helped quite a bit, but you could see that right now I'm at 10 miles per hour. And oh, that's my buddy Joe from Redlands who just passed me. And I didn't know that it was him at the time, but yeah, he's a local guy here in Redlands. I'm in Moreno Valley, and so that was pretty cool to see a local and get to know him. Now, this guy that I'm drafting off right here, that's another buddy that I met on the course, and I was actually behind him for quite a bit on that first climb, and throughout the race for the first 40 miles, he and I were back and forth, and on a bigger gravel section, a big flat wide road section of gravel, I actually ended up drafting on him for quite a bit. He was definitely more powerful and stronger and faster than me on that flat section, and I was just trying to hold on for dear life to his back wheel. I was able to give him a couple pulls, but for the most part, he was really working that front. So I was able to take advantage of that, and we chatted a little bit. He's a real cool guy. So thanks for all the help on the course out there, and maybe I'll see you next year. Now, this is our first steep downhill, and we were flying, okay? I was holding 25 miles per hour right here, and going so fast that my GoPro tilted down, so I've got just a front wheel shot. I left that in there because it's kind of funny how that works out. 27 miles per hour now, but watch what's going to happen right up here. I'm going to hit a bump, my GoPro's going to flip around even further. I'm going to get a shot of my pedals and legs, which is totally random and not interesting at all. But there's the flip. You see my water bottles. I got 3 on there right there. And take a look what happens. All right, just the rockiness, the bumpiness of that section. Bam, lose my water bottle. Let's watch it in slow motion. Bam, right there. It's gone. And notice on the right, somebody else lost their water bottle in that section too. Okay, so that was a really jolting section of downhill. If you get up out of the saddle just a little bit, just hovering over the seat, you really do some good shock absorption with your knees and tris. And actually, after that descent, my triceps were pretty sore. The rest of the race, I felt like I kept needing to stop and stretch my triceps because they did get tense from that downhill. Now look at this countryside. This is beautiful, just amazing. It was a bright sunny day. 75 degrees outside, so pretty cool compared to Southern California. Last week we were in the hundreds. The last 3 weeks we've been suffering with like 109, 110 degree weather. So this was beautiful to come up here. This tunnel was pretty cool. It goes underneath the 395 highway, and so we pop out on the other side. You could see the tire tracks in the gravel. That just shows you how thick it is. A little mechanical there. And this hasn't even been the bad part. Okay, this is a pretty good climb, and you can see that I'm behind my buddy up here again. And we're pushing up this 8%, 9%, 10% hill, and look at how thick those tire marks are in the sand. This took some power to get through. I was up into the mid 300 range for a lot of this. Getting up to the top, and you can see that guy right up there. He hopped off his bike. He's going cyclocross style because that sand was so thick. It was just a nuisance there. Now this is on the other side. We're descending. My buddy's still right there, and I took a wide turn and ended up in a huge sand pit. Like, this was way too thick to ride through, and you can see my watts are just spinning all over the place, and I'm not going anywhere. My computer turned off, and then every time my computer paused, then all my data on the screen gets a little bit weird. So I tried to adjust real fast, get back on it, and there I go again. This guy right in front of me, this is another guy that I saw quite a bit throughout the first 40 miles. After the first 40 miles was the first sag stop. So I took a short little break, refueled, got my fluids refilled up in my bottles, or the 2 bottles that I had left anyway, and then I was back out on the course. But some of the group that I was with most of this time got a little bit broken up from that sag stop. So this is actually a pretty nice, comfortable part of the route. There's shade, there's a little coverage from the trees, and it's still pretty cool. We're going at good speed. And then another thing I wanted to point out, you saw that fork in the road there. There were these roads go all over the place, and there were tons of splits. If you don't have the route downloaded, then you're going to miss a turn for sure. So if you're doing this race in the future, make sure that you have that downloaded and that it's working pretty good. Again, I'm going to point out the sand right here. We're going very slow, 5 miles per hour, and you could see all those tire tracks in the sand. It's hard to find a good line. This lady, she found a good spot on the side of the road, and so I'm trying to get over there and follow her, but there's other cyclists coming, and so I couldn't quite get my spot over there, and then right when I did, then it let up a little bit. All right, this is another guy that was in a group that I was riding with for a lot of it, and this guy too. So I saw both of those guys quite a bit throughout the entire race. So it was actually pretty good to start recognizing people that I was around most of the time, because I felt like I had seen across 5 hours. You feel like you get to know somebody even if you don't even know them or haven't even really talked to them. But just seeing them back and forth in front and behind, like it really gets familiar seeing the same jerseys. And that's kind of how I was recognizing people, actually. I was seeing a jersey that I would recognize, and I'd be like, hey, I saw you 5 minutes ago. Okay, here's another downhill section, and it's partially paved. And so you saw I got my watts up there quite a bit. I was up to 24 miles per hour, and I'm really actually loving these descents. And I try and go all out on the descents. I feel pretty confident on them, and I was just bombing them. And I felt like I was catching people that way. So a lot of the people who were passing me on the climbs, or on the sandy parts also, I had passed them on the descents. And so I felt like that was part of our back and forth. I was just going all out on the descent, and then they were catching me on the climbs. And there was enough of that to make a difference to where we kind of all ended within a reasonable time of each other. So here we go, a little bit more downhill, and this part's paved. So I'm going to try and speed past this guy and get a little bit ahead. And another thing that I want to point out is something that my buddy in the orange jersey back there, orange jersey, black backpack, he told me. So one thing he said is, even when you're suffering, because he and I were suffering together on some of those climbs, there were some points where it was really hurting. And I told him I don't know how much longer I could do this. He said, well, just take it in, back it off a little bit, enjoy the scenery. It was a beautiful day out there, and a beautiful sight to see. All those mountains, the blue skies, the forest, the sand, the gravel, all of it was just picturesque. And especially watching it back now on the video, I could just sit and watch this video over and over without any voiceover, just because I feel it's kind of like gravel back zen. It just feels good to watch it. Okay, now this section right here, I loved this part. This was just a long straightaway, mountain in the distance. I got going pretty fast down that hill, and I felt comfortable on that section. Not too sandy, but a little bit sandy. A cute little windmill. It was just a pretty picture to look at. I just really like this straightaway. It just looks nice. And you can see after the descent, I'm already catching some more people, which was kind of the norm for me. It got a little bit thick on the sand right here on this climb. That's why I'm up to 500 watts, you could see. And so it's just a short little climb, so I thought I would push through it. And I did. And I was like, okay, I'm going to catch this guy right in front of me right here. And there's a few more guys right in front of him. But that actually was not the case. Look, they're right there. And I couldn't get them right then. All right, so I hop on this long road, and look at this. They're gapping me even more. So they go out in front quite a bit. And this is actually where my buddy in the orange jersey came back. He caught up to me, and I rode on his back wheel for quite a while. He was going a pretty good pace, faster than I could hang, but this was such a straight and flat road that the draft really made it possible for me to hang in there. And there he is. So after that long gravel section, we popped out on the road, and we rode for quite a while together. He and I actually started back together after the sag stop, and it went pretty good, but I eventually got to a point where I couldn't hang with him anymore. Now, I skipped a lot of the course because it was a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same scenery, and now I'm back in town here at Mammoth, and this is the final climb. You can see that I'm going up this 3 to 4% grade, and these two guys who passed me, they are doing the toughest route, so the 90-mile route. I'm doing 230 watts at the end of this 70-mile race, and so I feel pretty good about my performance there, that I still had stuff in the tank after all that difficulty. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not holding that 230 right now. I'm holding more around 180, 175, and this is not a racer that I'm catching right here, but I'm still pretty proud of myself that I'm catching this local or this commuter or whatever her story is. I'm coming up on her. Not part of the race, but still, a pass is a pass. And by this point in the race, I was so tore up that I felt anything was pretty good. Now, coming right up here, this is the last turn. This is where the roadblock is, and this will take me all the way to the finish. It's just probably about 100 meters from here to the end. So I got just this little bit of climb, and I'm ready for this suffering to be over because it was a hard day in the saddle. It was very difficult, much more difficult than I anticipated. And I know that next time I want to practice a little bit more riding in the sand. I want to see how it goes putting out that power in the sand and maintaining a ride after that. After how difficult this race was, I felt so happy to be there at the end, and the endorphins just had me on a high. Even though it was very difficult, it still felt great. What's up? So this is Sunday morning after the Mammoth Tuff, and we're getting ready to do the award ceremony. So they got the stage up there. Everybody's gearing up. So we had a great time out here, and check it out.